Hey, Cactus crew, thanks so much for tuning in. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Bill. I'm also a bit croaky. Don't get me confused with anything else. I'm still a cactus, a little bit croaky though. Yeah, welcome to my channel for the people that are new, because there are a few of you. Cactus High 10. Oh my God, I hope my voice can do this. Let's just have a breather. Where are we going tonight? We're going to go back to August 18, 2022. So last year, basically a year ago. And yeah, in between ranting about Letitia and Von McCrane, or that, she went on a rant about people bringing up her son, because Katie always brings up her son as a shield. And she always seems to bring it up when she gets caught out, like lawsuits, like, you know, that she's still going through now. But anyway, yeah, check out the description box below, because down there you'll find a bunch of videos that I've covered concerning Katie's son, because that is what this live is going to be about. We're going to get another tour. And so this is 22, and we've done a tour in 2020 on a Katie Joy Live. She took us through the upstairs closet. So this is the downstairs part. We'll see if it's different. But yeah, there's a bunch of links down there. And then also, yeah, the timestamps are down there for the replay crew. What else? Yeah, follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Fuck, I hate that X. I only just noticed the X when I came onto my laptop, because I don't really see the icon, you know? Yeah, I don't know if I'm happy. I'm not happy. Are you guys happy? Anyway, where are we? Yeah, so yeah, follow me on those three at It's Crystal Bill. And yeah, everything is my own opinion. Yada, yada, yada. I'll see you on the other side of the rainbow. So sorry to be late to my own show. You know, I didn't mean to keep you guys waiting. But just as I was setting up, that bar appeared again. And I remember last time I had to do some code and do some copy and pasting, but that information is not in my head anymore, so I can't remember. But I'll put up with it, because who needs to use the screen anyway? Hi, everyone in chat. Oh my God, it's so good to see everyone. Do you know what? I was looking at a week going without my channel, without you guys, and that was so depressing, as sad and depressing as my channel is, and it can be a torturous chamber. But yeah, I've learned to, I don't hear Katie anymore. My default mode is where I go. I read body language, and I like her body language because it tells the exact opposite of whatever is coming out of her mouth. But if I do miss anything, you can tag me in the comments at Cactus Bill, and everyone in chat. Cactus High Five. Oh, it's so good to see. Oh my God, Fender, look at your new name. I've been meaning to message you. God, I've been hectic. God, I can't even reply to DMs or messages or comments. I'm losing the plot. I can't balance life outside my front door. I just want to be a hermit for life, but no. Oh, I love that. We'll talk later. We'll get into what we're going to be watching. And like I said, it's a Facebook Live, August last year. And yeah, she takes us on one of her tours. And what I'm trying to think what was happening in August last year. That she would have had. Oh yeah, I think did I mention it? Look, I've already lost the plot. Come on, brain. Okay, everybody, get my brain on. Let's just bring in Katie, because everything will make sense. And I've moved my seat. I know. I didn't want to be on level, just down a bit. She can still have her pedestal. So this is the live. It's my own copy, yada, yada, yada. Let's just press play and warm up. Oh, was it the Chrisley lawsuit? It might have been. When did that hit? See, we've been going over the end of 2020. So there's also Without a Crystal Ball TATI versus Without a Crystal Ball playlist. That's good because what her whole struggle there. Went through all the Katie Joy lives and stuff. We're almost in December. Like, it's taken a while. Okay, let's get into it. I just want to start at the beginning. I love to see her intro, but she doesn't start talking good until like 6 minutes or something. So I'll skip ahead. But yeah, I'll stop it and then we can talk, chat. I won't leave you out this time. I've got all my senses turned on. Right, Katie? That's how I'm starting. So let's see how easily I close all my ears and my eyes and just run away.
Hi, guys. I don't know if you can see me. Hello. Hello. I'm going to plug this in. Oops. Hopefully you can see me. It's very quiet. I didn't do a title. Maybe people don't know what to expect. Hello. Hello, Christina. Hello.
Her walls are so thin, I can hear the crickets. Or do I just hear crickets everywhere now with her? Can you guys hear the crickets? And I'm pretty sure everyone knows what they're going to get when they tune in to one of your lives, especially when you've got Ruggy around the bottom half.
Karen. Hello, Desiree. Hello. Maybe I needed a title. Hello, Robin. Hi, Erin. Hard to hear. I don't have a microphone. Sorry. You'll just have to turn up your volume. Sorry. I don't have a mic. It's literally just my phone right here. So nope, haven't been crying. I would not come online if I'd been crying. That would be silly. I did that once and I cried on stream and then I never heard the end of it. So I don't go online if I'm crying. No. Some things you just don't go online for. Hello. Hello. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. The makeup. Well, thank you.
Sorry, I need to let it play, but God, she's cocky. She's cocky as hell, isn't she, right now? She's come to play. Got her defenses up, got that tongue moving side to side, doing the tongue aerobics. Yeah, feeling that buzz on top of the world, but still, in your drinking chair. Nothing's.
I've been wearing the glam. No, I can't remember what the palette's called. It's Natasha Denona's glam palette, maybe? I don't know. Goodbye. Shared. Hello. Everyone. People are showing up, starting to show up. I wish I had, if you can't hear me, maybe you should go back out and come back on. Because my volume is all the way up. If you can't hear me, I can't improve my microphone. That I can tell. No. Nope. Hello. People are so quiet. You can hear me fine. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably their computers or however they're watching me. Okay. So what have I been working on today? Today I did a video about Josh Duggar's appeal, and I'm direct with people. Computers, I cannot control your phones. I'm done answering questions. I'm done answering questions about my volume. If the volume doesn't work for you, I would say move, go off the live, come back. I can't control your computers. I cannot control your phones. I'm talking directly into my phone, which is right there. So I can't control your volume. So, and that's not me trying to be rude. I'm just trying to be direct to keep the chat moving. So there has been quite a bit of stuff that's been happening on YouTube, and I want to just address a few things. I don't want to make this about drama. I don't even really want to address the situation, but I ignore things a lot when it comes to my son. And I just want to be super clear. I have strict boundaries when it comes to my child. I'm not going to answer your questions if you ask me how he is. I'm not going to tell you how he's doing in school. I'm not going to tell you where he goes to school. I'm not going to tell you what grade he's in. I'm not going to tell you who his teacher is. I'm not going to tell you how he's doing in school. I'm not going to tell you what he's learning in school. I'm not going to tell you what he did for breakfast today or what he played with. Like, I don't really talk about him, and I protect his privacy because he's not a public figure and he's not on my platform. And just because I have a child doesn't mean that he's a part of my business. He's not. He's never been a part of my business without a crystal ball ever.
Are you fucking kidding me right now? Are you fucking kidding me? He's without a crystal ball. Our journey with like special needs and autism. Oh, chronic illness and autism. I'm an autism mum. He is without a crystal ball. You have exploited your son since birth. You still haven't removed any of the posts on your Facebook business page, which is scary enough. The shit that you shared on your without a crystal ball Facebook page. Yeah, it's about your son, but you never bothered censoring him. I mean, God, the type of photos you chose. I mean, gosh, like there's that clip where you talk about, you know, how your mum made your baby book with Jonestown clippings and stuff. And then you're like, my son doesn't have a baby book. Yes, he does. It's online. It's all of the articles. It's every single article was a different picture. It's very rarely the same picture was used. Like you just couldn't get enough. Share, 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 share. Right now, you're talking about him too. But you know how you listed all that stuff? I'm not going to tell you what he ate, and I'm not going to tell you. Well, you used to. Trifecta and fur. It didn't work out, hey? You wanted to be like Kate Goslin. Am I saying that wrong? I'm probably saying that the Aussie way. It's been a while. Oh my God, when you look back at how long it's been, God, how blind were we? Well, not blind, but you would think. I think that, you know, we thought like channels, like production companies and that, we're not out to exploit people for money. I guess that never ran through our minds that we were going to watch like stuff that is like, you know, because I just think of like 16 and Pregnant, the first the Amber, you know, how did that happen? MTV has a lot, even with the whole Leah stuff. Letting her drive those her girls to school when she is obviously had too much Zenny. Okay, where are we? Way off track. We're coming back, Katie. We're coming back to you not talking about your son.
Business has always been, without a crystal ball, reporting on varieties of different topics, none of which included my son. So I used to write very early on when he was very early diagnosed. So for advocacy for parents of children that have children with complex medical conditions. And during that period of our journey when he was very young, I shared details about just what it's like to raise a child that has chronic illness. And when you have a child that has a lot of medical conditions, it's a very isolating world to live in. And there's a lot of hate and a lot of discrimination and a lot of assumptions that are made. And by the time my son was 4, I learned by then that no matter what I said, there was always going to be people that didn't believe us. And I couldn't take the accusations any longer. So I stopped talking.
I'm not sure why it mattered if people believed you or not. That is a red flag, because now you're going to stroke your mane, your ego. And also when you said that, you stuck your tongue out. I am we're going to have to rewind.
About him. And so I don't talk about him. And I was 4. I learned by then that no matter what I said, there's always going to be people that didn't believe us. And I couldn't take the accusations any longer. So I stopped talking about him. And so I don't talk about him, and I don't share. And if I do share, it's because I feel like I want to share. If you ask me, I'm not going to. If you ask me, he's upset right now. He's going to bed. I already said goodnight to him, by the way. He's fine. He has autism. Okay. And we have a lot that we deal with, and I don't share.
He has autism. Are you serious? Stop using that as an excuse, because it's not V's behavior that we question. It's always been your behavior. And I love it how you're like, it's okay, I've already said good night. It's not my night. It's not my night. Making sure that we know it's not your night. He's upset. He's going to bed. How thin are your paper thin walls? They really are Bible paper thin.
Share about it publicly. I don't talk about it publicly. I've shared bits and pieces over the years, but nothing significant. And so what I just don't stand for is that, and I want to be extremely clear about something. You can be curious about our lives and wonder, but it's a whole other thing when you go onto your YouTube channel and monetize my child's life and you question his disabilities. And you all say that you're not bullying him, but you are, because you're saying, well, we're just talking about how you're faking things. But you're actually lying when you say that, because I'm not faking anything. And so what you're actually doing is you're doubting that he's sick. Or you're thinking that.
Don't play that guilt trip on me, Mrs. Paulson. We aren't dumb. We don't need you to spin some bullshit that can, make me question my own. Oh, hang on. Is this gaslighting? Let's go back and have a look.
That I fabricated it or exaggerated it. And the truth is that he's a child that has a lot of medical conditions that none of which I could fabricate or fake. And by you implying that I've made this up, you're completely discounting his experience and his journey and his struggles. And you're bullying a child that has a lower IQ and has autism and developmental delays. It's not.
You're his developmental delays. You are the one with the lower IQ. I think that he might be smarter than you. He is onto you. He gives you shit. And good on him, because you need it thrown back in your face. The way that you just spread it around like a sprinkler. Oh, guilt tripping us over your son. You are the pathetic mother that shares everything, who has no one who cares, who does a survival day, IG live pity party. And when you don't get your way and enough attention on you, you end it and you start a new one word for word. Like, it's Christmas. You get to tell the story over how your son survived while ignoring your son. It's like, and can you just lean back? I mean, why are you leaning forward? I'm not,
Cute. It's not funny. He's a vulnerable child that will need help for the rest of his life. And we are prepared to offer him that help for the rest of his life. We love him. We offer him all kinds of support he has for the rest of his life. And we are prepared to offer him that help for the rest of his life. We love him. We offer him.
Why did she shake her head? For the rest of his life, instead of nodding like she was. So it was like a nod, shake of the head.
And developmental delays. It's not cute. It's not funny. He's a vulnerable child that will need help for the rest of his life. And we are prepared to offer him that help for the rest of his life. We love him. We offer him all kinds of support. He has all the services that he needs. He has amazing doctors and amazing nurses and an amazing team that cares about him. And so when you go online and imply that I have Munchausen's by proxy, you are not bullying me, you're bullying him. And I know you guys will say you're not talking about him, but you are, because you're implying that his life is fake or that it's not real. And you're adding insult to injury by implying that we're forcing him to do things in his life that we just because we're lazy. There's a lot of discrimination.
Oh my God, is that your poopy face? Was that your poopy face? What were you doing? Cleaning the roof of your mouth? After what you said? We're not going anywhere, are we? I just want to watch the whole thing in silence.
To injury by implying that we're forcing him to do things in his life that we just because we're lazy. There's a lot of discrimination.
You are lazy. He's not your priority. He's never been your priority. You're an alcoholic. You can't even give up the booze for your husband when he, attempts sobriety. You drink in front of him. You don't care. Like, what the fuck? Forgot what I was going to say because I looked at the screen and that always happens. Yes. Little miss, right? I thought she does not discuss her child. Well, this is just 12 months ago, August 18 last year. So very recent. And I got to shut up so that she can get up and start her show and tell. Because, that's what her son is. And that's what all this medical equipment is. It's show and tell. It's props. Props for her story, to amplify her story. She's spoken about how she feels like she has to compete with other special needs mum, like whose child is the most disabled. She's said that. It's one of my shorts. I'll link it below. I'll link every video that I talk about below. Like I said, I've been talking about this for a while, but I'm surprised we haven't watched this. But yeah, I found it.
Discrimination for people that have disabilities, and I've learned the hard way that when you're a parent of a child with a disability, you have to have a thick skin, and you have to be able to stick up for your child and tell people it's not okay to bully children, to question them on their diseases. And just because you watched a Netflix documentary about one woman named Dee Dee Blanchard who had Munchausen's by proxy, not every mother that has a sick child does what Dee Dee does. In fact, what Dee Dee does is a minority, and a very, very small minority, literally minuscule, like so tiny that it's a fragment. But you guys think that this represents all families, and it's not true. The truth is there are probably thousands, if not millions, of moms like me that have a child that just want to be accepted, and they want our kids to be accepted, and we don't want to be questioned. We just want you to be like, we just want you to look at our lives and be like, hey, he's a sweet little boy. You guys are doing awesome.
Why don't you want to be questioned? Because you're being questioned a lot. Like, that's why you stopped taking him to therapy. A lot of the oral motor skills therapy, where the therapist could not believe that you didn't do the homework, you didn't do the upkeep on your end, and then because they confronted you, you just never took him back.
Come on. If I could change anything in his life, I would. The last thing I would ever do is want to hurt him, and I'll never hurt him. If I could change anything in his life, I would. The last thing I would ever do is want to hurt him, and I'll never hurt him. And if you say you would take care of him better, we don't want your help, and he would never want to deal with you. I heard Molly say that she would take care of him. Well, I'll tell you something, Molly. My son would never want to be around you, because my son, he has autism, okay? And he hates when people swear. Literally, he does not like when people yell or curse. He does not like when people are mean to other people. He'll call you out if you act that way. If he heard you talking the way that you talk to people, he would scream at you and he would tell you that you're not.
Oh my God, pull another one. You're so full of shit. Your husband yells at your son and swears at your son. We even caught it again in this year. Was it last year or this year? Well, they all the years mushed together when she was outside on the porch steps with Frida, having couple time the kissing booth. You guys know what live I'm talking about. Anyway, yeah, we heard Toad again yelling at V and swearing. So, you know, and plus you used to swear all the time on your YouTube channel until you saw that LB didn't.
Not a nice person. That's just how he is. And he would tell you to say you're sorry to the people that you're talking to. I mean, that's just the kind of kid he is. He does not like foul language. He doesn't like people that yell at people. He doesn't like people that are mean to people. He's a very just person. And if he heard your voice, he would be like, nope, you're a bad lady. So he wouldn't like you. So you're not welcome here. And just because someone started a rumor that I have Munchausen's by proxy, which I don't, years ago, doesn't make it true. It's stupid that I have to always address this because it's not factual, even remotely.
If it wasn't, you know, for a normal person that was accused of it, they wouldn't keep bringing it up. But Katie likes the drama that she gets off it, the pity party. Oh, I can't believe people would accuse you, like a caring mother like you, Katie. You do everything. You gave up your job for your child. Whatever lie it was that day, you know? But the nurses that are in your house, the ones that are locked in the basement under the stairs, you know, that movie, and the rap group, no, but the movie.
If I had Munchausen's by proxy, you don't even understand. There was a case in my state of a mother. Mothers that have children with medical, like with Munchausen's by proxy, they don't let anyone else take care of their kid. They don't. Because they don't want their kid to be alone with anyone because they're manipulating situations and they don't want their kid to fall off of the script. Okay. So they'll never allow people to be alone with them. They doctor shop. They will, they describe like issues that are like not traceable. So you can't find it in a lab. You can't find it in an x-ray. You can't find it in a CT scan. They use diagnoses that are like very vague to describe things. Feeding tubes are one thing that they use, but did you know there's millions of people that have feeding tubes for probably hundreds of different reasons that actually need them? So just because like a couple fringe people do bad things with feeding tubes, that doesn't mean that every person that has a feeding tube is faking it. Feeding tubes are a lot of work, and but they're also a lifesaver. And I talk to a lot of people, like followers that have parents that have gone through strokes, that have had to get feeding tubes, parents of children that have the same neurological condition as my son that have feeding tubes. In the world that we exist in, like a little pocket in the specialty that we're in with his health, him having a feeding tube is normal. Like all the kids that we know that are like him have feeding tubes. So it's not like this.
That can't be true. And if it is, it would be temporary. That's a word I can't say. Because it's not, a feeding tube should never, ever be, he's got gastroparesis, right? And I've got that as well. And there was a time in my, I don't know, when I was like mid-teenager where my food just was really fucked and I ended up having to just have the formula, not the actually on the feeding tube, but the feeding tube formula. And I was on that for like 5 years. But I didn't want to give up the muscles in my gut that have been working and like or the progress that I've made. If you just put a feeding tube on, everything stops, regresses. She's let her child, like, and for children as well, unless, you know, they're medically fragile. But what shits me is Katie, I don't believe her son fits that label, medically fragile, because if you Google medically fragile child, they're not going outside and playing in the pool. They're not going places that, you know, they're not standing, they're not talking, You'll do whatever you can to make sure that your child remains dependent on you, that he remains disabled. There's benefits that come with it, but there's also what you get from it. For the first time in your life, you're like important, but you're also with the feeding tube, it's scary because you're God. You can give him whatever, whenever. And we saw that in the video, Mama Knows Best, where you're taking him off the prescribed formula with all the nutrients, the vitamins and all that, and putting him on a simple broth and talking about upping his water intake with broth, salt. Like, wasn't that the Minnesota case? It's so similar. I remember looking it up.
I don't know. We don't know anything different. And just because he can chew on things that are easy to dissolve in his mouth for pleasure doesn't mean that he can eat enough to sustain himself. And unfortunately, you do such an injustice to people that have disabilities and have medical conditions when you diminish their journeys by questioning what they go through.
You're exploiting your son's story for your own benefit, Katie. So don't try and guilt trip us about damaging your son even further. It does, like, what if people are not allowed to question what they see? Then, God, that really would be the movie Idiocracy. Gatorade for breakfast, Mountain Dew for lunch. That's what your son eats, though, isn't it? That's the only thing. I'm thinking about what I shared on my Twitter, a little screen grab of the article I'm going to be reading. That's another thing, like a lot of what we've spoken about and gone through old Without a Crystal Ball articles and blogs, and like right back to like 2013, like when she started Without a Crystal Ball. What was I going to say? Yeah, so that playlist is in the description box. And it's been hard for me. I always wonder, like, why did I stop? Because I'm stopping and starting. Like, I'll read them and then I'll stop for ages. And now that I'm pretty clicked on, I realize that it's hard reading what she writes about her son. It's hard to say it with my mouth, like vocally, like reading it in my head, completely different story. It's like a kick to the gut. It's like I want to cry. It's just so fucked up. But yeah, she's not aware. With no self-awareness, she has no awareness of what she shared. But we do. We know what she's sharing, and we know the pictures she shares of her son are never happy. Like, even when she's showing evidence, she'll put it on the screen and she'll be like, this and this means that, and this is what this shows. And I'm like, no, that's not what that says or means. And she does that by sharing stuff like with her son. And yeah, it paints a dark picture. Also, as soon as she gets a diagnosis, she becomes the expert in that disorder. Like, when they got finally got the autism diagnosis, that she ignored everything else, like he had undiagnosed hydrocephalus, and she ignored that, just wanted the autism because the benefits that came with that, all the stuff she could get being an autism mum, added that to the title on Without a Crystal Ball, no longer just our journey with chronic illness. It's now chronic illness and autism. But she became an expert like within a month of that diagnosis. And then even with the feeding tube, there's the video. I think it was her first Facebook Live, 2019. It's the video link below. I think it's called Mama Knows Best. But yeah, it shows her prepping the feeding tube, and like a nurse would, if a nurse had shown her how to do that, they would never have shown her that way, because it's very sloppy and it's very, she doesn't know what she's doing, because she's also a nutritionist. Yeah, and she's like a doctor as well, because she knows what all the fillers are. Like, it's ridiculous. She just becomes this, like, that is scary, isn't it? So don't tell us and guilt trip us, because our brains are working. Yours is soaked in alcohol. You got no reasoning, no logic going on. That's like I said, like, your son is, especially with your staph infection with your face at the moment, where you didn't realize that it might be staph or Marissa, but yeah, here we are.
It's sad. And my child shouldn't be brought up as an argument for you. Like, if you have a problem with what I'm doing, go to the source of what I'm doing, or look at the story that I'm covering. When you have to go into somebody's personal life and start attacking their parenting, it's low. And you're not, in my opinion, you're not even attacking my parenting, because what you're saying about me is false. And so what you're actually doing is attacking my child.
And what you're actually doing is deflecting. So own it that you put his story out there. That's why people are discussing it. That your actions cause this reaction. So don't sit there and go, oh, you're just making my son feel bad. It, like, don't hurt him. No, be the fucking grown up and own your shit before you change it,
I will not explain his diagnosis. No. So, okay, let me see.
Katie, where's your
It's annoying.
arms? Where are your arms?
Yeah, I'll never be able to change their minds, or,
Why do you need to change our minds? Just live your life. Stop trying to make us believe that it's false. Just you saying that it's false means nothing. Like, seriously. Okay? I would rather you, well, smart thing to do, just shut up. But you won't stop talking about it, just like you won't stop talking about Toad yelling at the dog being in that room for 10 hours, Never going to take that video down, because, your son was 8 or whatever then. And that's 8 years that you should know how to control your temper around your son that has adrenal insufficiency that could go into, adrenal crisis. But then the God thing is, these two alcoholics, Mrs. Paulson and Toad, they are the ones that if he goes into adrenal crisis, they are the ones that have to administer the cortisol shot. Is it cortisol or cortisone? One of them, which his body doesn't make, which would, in our bodies would release it and it would reduce the stress. But he doesn't have that. So if he has an alcoholic 60-year-old man yelling at him and swearing at him, and he's like, I'm hungry, and he's crying, and he's, he knows his mum's not going to come and help him. And this guy, Toad, just won't stop yelling. She hears her son in distress, crying, no reaction. It's a scary house. It's a scary house. If they went and got help for their addiction, their alcoholism, they would have more, they would learn like coping mechanisms for their temper. They're quick to get angry. They can't control it. And it's also part of their addiction now. It's like another thing that gives them a buzz, because I'm sure when Toad yells at Katie, he gets no reaction because she doesn't have any reaction when her son's crying. So why would she react when Toad's yelling at her? She'd be cold. And yeah, so he would get that buzz because he needs the reaction of whatever he's yelling at to cry in the corner. And it's sad because he's 8 then. Now he's 11, turning 11 in October. And yeah.
It's upsetting to have to even address this, is what I'm trying to tell you guys. It's upsetting that I have to like come on here and tell you. So you're gonna go goodbye, Linnea. Emily Baker, goodbye.
No, it wasn't, was it? It wouldn't have been Emily D. Baker, but like, what the hell, Katie? She doesn't need to say the names, and she doesn't need to say that she's blocking people. We know by the thumb tapping. Plus, why are you leaning forward? It's very, like, where are your arms? Now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it. Just these little knobs.
I haven't written about him in 5 years. In 5 years. And what his diagnosis is at this point irrelevant. Nothing's changed. Oh my God, Denise Rowe. She is like, Denise Rowe is crazy. That woman is nuts. She has like 100 sock accounts. She literally has been stalking me for years.
Oh my fucking God. Fuck, the carousel from hell. I can't just let it play because, yeah, obviously I need to say something. How would you know, Katie? How would you know that they have sock accounts unless it's you? Like, that Mary, I might have to do a video on this, but her latest post, if anyone's been following, no, not Mary. We're not on that topic anymore, Bill. Jeez, catch up. We're on Kate Goslin. So, yeah, she thinks that Kate Goslin has been using a burner account because she uses burner account now instead of socks and sock puppets. What happened there? Who's that from? She's come across someone who uses that. It's not uni because, you know, he still thinks it is in with all the tech when he uses socks. But anyway, let's not go down that road. Where am I? Oh, I can't think. I took a detour and then the road's closed now.
Goodbye.
Oh, thanks, Katie, for not talking. Kate Goslin's burner. Do you know what? That's Katie. Katie doesn't have nothing to report on. No new, like, that's going to be a video. 100% that's going to be a video that Kate Goslin's sock account was all up in her grill in her comments. I saw that person. It was just probably one of us that's been blocked. They were just saying all the truth, that Katie is still in an active lawsuit with 7M. She's never won a lawsuit like she claims. She does have MVP. What I believe, in my beliefs that come from my point of view, using my mind, you know, my hamster wheel that goes round. I don't think yours goes round, Katie. Katie, can you hear the chirping? It's like every time you are not talking, it's perfect for the chirpers, the crickets. There we go.
Kathleen says, I can say this as a child, as someone whose mom was accused of having Munchausen's by proxy, that the accusation is extremely invalidating and hurtful to the disabled ill person. So I'll just show you something very quickly because I don't like. So for people that are concerned about my son, this right here, that's his nurse's stuff. They are here 6 days a week. Okay. They have all their kits there. Okay.
Packed her in there. Are you Sarah Boone?
So there are mandated reporters in my house 6 days a week. Those are his feeding tube things. Here's all of his syringes. Look, all these are medical supplies. Like, that's what our life looks like. This is like what our house looks like, okay?
Let's take in that view. Look at that beautiful wine bottle there. Cork screw still there next to all this equipment. It doesn't really look like it just that pantry though, there's a lot of flour and water. Was that water up top? But that was moving too fast. When I finish this, I might go back and slow mo. Plus, it's pretty clear as well, you know, for one of my videos. Okay. Yeah, I just got to stop dribbling. But she got up fast. I need to prove. Oh, suitcase Sarah. Oh my God. She looks identical to my friend called Sarah. I even took a screenshot and sent it to my friend called Sarah. And she was like, holy shit, why does her stranger friend or stranger, what is it? Stranger twin, you know, because look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. But it all started this New York, not New York, but a photographer started photographing everyone like random strangers that looked alike. But yeah, so everyone's got one. And yeah, my friend's one is Sarah Boone. I'm like, what a last name. Okay, but wonder if Toad would know.
That's just, if you were to walk into our house, you're going to find syringes.
Okay, I find that disgusting. I find, like, even if she is soaking them, get them out of the sink. And plus soaking these, like, in, like, shitty water. The bacteria is just gonna, and like, I'm so, look at me being a Karen at the sink. Look, she had cereal and coffee and sandwiches.
He doesn't use this, just so you know. This is not his toothbrush. Syringes, extensions, syringes.
Are you fucking kidding? That's how she, did you see that? Why would you handle, well, why am I surprised? I mean, upstairs when she did the 2020 tour of the medical closet in her son's room, she was hung over, like absolutely like like throwing up in her mouth and then swallowing it, kind of hung over, like couldn't stand up for long, hung over, puffy face, last night's makeup, but also, you know, the whole year's makeup because she can't remove it. And she's going through all his medical supplies, like his daily shots, like gets out parts of a feeding tube stuff and then puts it back in the plastic with her boogie finger hands. And I can't believe what is it, Katie, that you need to prove, that you need people to believe that your son is unwell? We get it. What we don't get is what you put him through and what you ignored, and your neglect is basically why your son had neurological delays. You didn't do anything. You didn't stimulate his brain. He was in daycare from 6 weeks, because Katie only got 6 weeks or something maternity leave. So then B went to daycare until 3.5. Because once he got the feeding tube, they couldn't cater to his needs.
Not to mention he has all his vitals that we have to do a million times.
Oh my God.
So
Okay, hold on. Wait up.
I don't like life looks like. This is what our house looks like, okay?
Okay.
That's just, if you were to walk into our house, you're going to find syringes. He doesn't use this, just so you know. This is not his toothbrush.
The only reason you would be bringing that up is because Ellie has posted about you keeping his toothbrush there. But why would you keep it next to toothpaste if it's not someone's toothbrush? But you let the cats, the unvaccinated cats, walk all over the bench and wipe up against his feeding tube and that toothbrush. That toothbrush also got spray back when you clean the couch. The couch, Katie, that filthy fucking couch that you blamed your son on it for making it filthy. My son has a feeding tube. No, you're a mother that's the first time in a decade you cleaned a couch. And it showed because it was black.
Syringes, extensions, syringes. Not to mention he has all his vitals that we have to do a million times a day. That's our house, okay? And that's just the downstairs. His whole upstairs closet is filled with stuff. In order to qualify for healthcare, for home care nursing, you have to go through your insurance. You have to get it approved. You have to also have it evaluated, and they have to come out and look at your entire thing. Your doctor has to order it. It's not something you can just I want a nurse. That's not how it works.
Yeah, so like I said, the old Without a Crystal Ball articles playlist and the Focus on Feeding playlist, they're both linked in the description box. You want to check them out because it shows the journey of the different diagnoses. Katie goes disorder shopping, basically. I swear, once she got the autism diagnosis, and then she was introduced to different groups like autism mums and introduced to the benefits that she could get from the government. That's when she must have seen what she can get if he has a feeding tube, because the feeding tube makes him have a permanent disability and dependent on Katie, who and that makes her get an exemption on her property tax. So as long as she's got a dependent in her house who has a permanent disability, she will continue to get discount on her property tax every year. And I'll link that video down below as well. And it's the feeding tube as well. If he loses the feeding tube, they lose that. And I feel like that's just the top of that's just like the tip of the iceberg, if I can steal some cliches from Katie. Because yeah, I feel like there's a lot more. Like, he doesn't need the feeding tube. Katie didn't have the time, the patience. Like I said, she's been in active addiction, alcoholism. Like, she doesn't have the patience. Also, in every time she was feeding him, I feel like she fed him food where he would choke. Like, she made him fearful of food. This is just, I've gone through this like multiple times, but maybe we should do a whole video where we refresh it. But I'll just let you continue, Katie, since, you know, you're not stopping talking. We'll see where it goes. It always goes.
That's just downstairs closet. Upstairs closet, we've got feeding bags, we've got his pump, we have tons of supplies.
Also, if you notice, every time that he, like V, is being fed on the pump, he's laying down. And this is a no, 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 no. Especially if he, you know, with a digestive system, like with gastroparesis, it's like delayed emptying of, yeah, the digestive system. It's basically like, I'm basically paralyzed, I swear. It's not paralyzed, but no muscle, no strength from my waist down. My dad calls me chicken because like skinny ass legs, but no muscle. But that's from being born prem. So I went through a lot of the developmental delays that he went through. But the thing is, like, my mum just had the patience, you know. I don't know where I didn't get the patience from my mum. I got the no patience side from my dad. But yeah, mum had like 4 other kids and dealing with a prem baby and feeding. Like, yeah. It takes patience and consistency as well, and like keeping it up. The therapists were telling her she wasn't doing the homework. How dare you tell Katie that she's not doing it right?
If I could get rid of all of these things in my life, and if I could make him well, I would trade all of it. I would give up my life if it meant that he would be okay. That's just literally what our life is. It is what it is. We've accepted him for who he is. We love him. He's an amazing child, and he is such a huge bright light. You know, but on top of all of that, look, he has all of that stuff, but look at what he cares about. So this is the stuff I showed you that we have to do to keep him well during the day. But when he's feeling good, this is how he leaves the floor. Okay. So today he had a good day and he wanted to play a lot. He doesn't have good days every day. So today it was lots of battles with Godzilla.
Inside. Do you ever, like, he never plays outside. Like, it's awful. From one little station to the next little station, it's like he's in captivity. Also, he probably said he liked dinosaurs once, and now that's all they buy him. He's been into Godzilla since he was way young. I reckon if he even changed interests, they wouldn't know. Because they don't know who their child is. They only know who they want him to be. Like, they want to, before he even turns 18, like, as he turns 18, get in there, do the little slipperoo and become his guardians or take guardianship of him so that he doesn't have time to breathe, realize he can make his own choices. And, you know, his own, because imagine if V had choice about the feeding tube. I doubt Katie would, you know, now she's got to start from the way, like, even weaning children off feeding tubes is so difficult. I can't imagine a child that's been on one for 6, 7 years. Absolutely stolen that from him. In the meantime, he's eating Cheetos, M&Ms, crackers, like this stuff that makes you choke. She's admitted to it. I might bring up that what I shared on Twitter.
See, this was a good day. No, he has way more than autism. He was born with a congenital neurological condition, which affects like his entire body, his brain, all the organs in his body, everything. So today was a good day. Lots of play, lots of dinosaurs. Oh, you have, okay, so he has panhypopituitarism. That's his primary diagnoses. He has panhypopituitarism, but he also has other things. But yeah, the disease that he was diagnosed with when he was 3 months old, 1 in 500,000 children are diagnosed with it a year. Or 1 in 500,000 live births have the type of condition that he has when he was born. And people that are born without a pituitary gland generally have all kinds of other issues in their brains that are not.
Your child wasn't born. When he was born, he didn't have hypopituitarism. And yes, you say he was originally diagnosed with panhypopituitarism. I can't remember. I did look it up. One of them is when you're only missing a few, like your pituitary gland doesn't make 1 or 2. Probably pan means something that my brain's not putting together. I've got a feeling that pan might be more than 1. Oh, let me do a little. Okay, look, I should just press play.
Formed correctly, and it's just like a ripple effect. So
what I was going to say is his hypopituitarism, that's how I refer to it, was acquired from traumatic brain injury at 3.5 months. He wasn't born with it. He has a pituitary injury, and that's why Katie loves to, like, the article where they get the panhypopituitarism diagnosis. Katie says that she ran up to Toad, like screaming down the hallway of the hospital, "He's got panhypopituitarism." Like, like, I'm off the, no more, you can't guilt me. I didn't do anything. Look, he's got this disorder. He was born without a pituitary gland. It's got nothing to do with me. Really? Okay. So I'm just looking up, it says, what's the difference? Okay, I'm not going to be able to do it.
We've met amazing people in our community of children that have PHP, and they vary widely. Some have very minimal issues, and then others are more globally impacted. But you can't fabricate that. You can't fabricate a child being born with that. I never knew the severity of what I think. The hardest part is adrenal insufficiency, but he's got a million other things on top of it. But adrenal insufficiency is life-threatening. Your pituitary gland is like the master gland of your body. I'm not going to explain how it affects him, but I'll just explain to you how an endocrinologist would probably explain it to a family that's just being diagnosed. Okay. And I'm, again, not speaking about my child when I say this. I just want to give you a global understanding of what it would mean if your child was diagnosed with this. So if your child was born with panhypopituitarism, it's not something that they can see in a scan. You can't what do you call it? Like a anatomy scan or an ultrasound would never catch it because it's inside the brain, and they just.
Yeah, it says panhypopituitarism is when it's when your pituitary gland doesn't make all of your hormones. And then the hypopituitarism is if only a few are not made. So maybe I've had it round the wrong way, but she, she goes from one to the other. But I do know he doesn't make any hormones, like growth hormones. He has to have that daily shot. I should look it up. Yeah, and then the cortisone. Look, just press play, Bill.
Don't have technology to see that part of the brain when a baby's in utero. So you don't know that your child has this until they're born. And some babies, they can do okay for a little while and they'll survive. But most babies, the way that they find out that they have it is because the child almost dies. And everyone that ends up with this diagnosis generally has gone through a life-threatening illness where the child almost died. And so
I love how you said illness and then you like had to stick your finger in your ear, because it's another word that starts with I. It's not illness, is it, Katie? It's injury. Because the panhypopituitarism happened, and then as a symptom or as a, he got hydrocephalus after the brain injury, and she left it from 3 months old to 4.5, 5, while she was searching for all these other diagnoses like autism or oral apraxia or all this. This is why my son can't speak. This is why he's not learning. He's got all these delays. Meanwhile, his head is growing bigger. But because she doesn't look at her son, she is also, drinking away her guilt, trying to, she wrote that article on the verge of being an alcoholic, where she was an alcoholic and still is an alcoholic, but wants to preach different. The neglect that her and Toad have done, like put their son through, that's affected him the most. They don't have the patience for him, so they screen feed him. They don't have the patience, they give him the phone. From 6 months old, he's had the screen in front of his face. Katie wonders why he's not eating. And it's like, well, he is eating. That's his addiction. He's addicted to the screen. That's why he's not sleeping. Because, it's the whole cycle. And then they don't have the patience. They don't have the... God, this is so sad. It's so scary. Everyone's addicted.
That's how we found out, okay? So then when they explain to you how it works, and again, I'm not telling you like what his effect is the pituitary gland is one of the very first parts of your brain that forms. It's the middle, it's the very center of your midline. It's one of the first parts of the neural tube that develops. So when your baby is born, when you conceive, the very first part of the fetus, when it's like an embryo or whatever it's called, the neural tube is the very first part of that. So when a neural tube doesn't form correctly, it's called a neural tube defect. There's a lot of different neural tube defects. Panhypopituitarism is.
And Katie, what's the umbrella of all that? Fetal alcohol syndrome is where you get all the neural tube damage in that first part of the pregnancy. Because I don't believe that Katie could just stop for the sake of her child. She can't even stop drinking for the sake of her husband. She doesn't love anyone, doesn't love her unborn child, never wanted children. She's just having V for Toad. But then, there's studies that have been done where males that have been alcoholics for well over 20 years of their life, the sperm changes. and the damage that that causes to the cognitive development of the fetus it's a lot. It's a lot. Like we've all seen she acts like a child. How is she raising a child? It's worse than watching a 16 and pregnant episode, because you think like, surely, surely this can't be real. This is the reality. Her reality show is way more scary than anything TLC's put on.
Is one of them. Others are like spina bifida. Some cases of it are low folate, but I didn't have low folate, so it wasn't anything that like I could control. It's kind of a.
Also, I shared on Twitter the article that I read back in 21 about Katie talking about being a crunchy mum before she got pregnant. And I found that article like so alarming. And it's also the reason I copped a strike. My first strike, yes, my Mario Kart, I went down to 2 fucking balloons and life was scary. Like, but no, it was a community guidelines strike, because when I cropped out 1 minute of that article where Katie's talking about anti-vax and stuff, or her vaccine talk, taking that out of context had me looking like I was spreading misinformation, medical information. And so thank God I appealed it and they took it back. And they were nice, but then, it was their mistake, so they'd have to be nice, right? What was I going to say? Yeah, so that article, Crunchy Mum, I found it alarming because it wasn't until, well, I don't know if it's stolen either, because some of it feels like it's not Katie's story, but then it makes me wonder if she didn't get her vaccinations, or she didn't have, prenatal vitamins. What's that one that helps with spina bifida? Because I almost had spina bifida, and I have this like huge like lump on my back. It's causing me problems at the moment for the first time in forever, and it's just because I've given up swimming, so I stopped swimming. But that would have done wonders for V, swimming. It would have regulated his lungs. I know swimming built up my lungs. Also, I swam before I walked. I didn't walk till I was like, I don't know. I say 2, but it's apparently not that late. But hey, when the pram is there, who would walk when there's a pram? Who wants to walk? Okay, Katie, do you want to walk? Okay, what was I talking about? I always threw myself off. Yes, folic acid. Bringing me back on. Thanks, 99. Lead balloons. It's like, do I want to continue along that lines or just listen to Katie? We'll just go back to Katie.
It's not genetic either. Like, it's not caused by prenatals. It's literally just the tube didn't develop correctly. Okay. And then once one part of the neural tube is impacted, it can affect all other parts of the brain. So you just kind of go down the midline. So children that have PHP, and again, I'm not speaking about my son, I'm just saying in general, can have other conditions. They can have hypotonia. They can have, which is low muscle tone. They can have hydrocephalus. They can have Chiari malformation. They can have spina bifida. They can have cleft palates, cleft lips, one single incisor. They can have issues with their nose, the way that their nose develops. They can have cardiac conditions. They can have like splits down their abdomen because their muscles won't form correctly. It's basically like if you take your body like this and you go down the midline, which is your central nervous system, and then your face. So there's children that we know that have this condition,
which is your spinal cord. Like, fucking hell. Katie doing science. All I can see is when I split her into 2 with my little filters that I love. Like, I love making her Katie and Joy,
where they have cleft lips, cleft palates, one tooth in the middle. They have issues with their noses. They have some kids that have panhypopituitarism are born with what's called SOD-ONH, which is their optic nerves are impacted, and so they're blind. There's, again, it's just all of the kids that I've learned that have this, they have varying issues. There are some children that it's like they have that and that's it. Literally, that's all they have. A lot of the children that have panhypopituitarism have developmental delays. Some will have autism, others will have low IQs. But the central nervous system is a huge part of how your body regulates all parts of your body. And so someone that has panhypopituitarism doesn't make any hormones. So they don't have a thyroid. They have all of the glands, but their gland up here doesn't tell anything else how to do anything. So if you were diagnosed.
Say that again, because I thought your son was born without a pituitary gland. Does he have the gland? It just doesn't work. Well, make up your mind. What was I going to say? I was going to say something. I always throw myself off.
As a child, if your child was diagnosed, they would tell you that your child will not grow unless you.
Yeah, since you brought up central nervous system, Katie, do you know what alcohol does to the central nervous system? That could probably be the reason why you live with anxiety, why you can't sleep, why you're, constantly scattered. But then it could also be that you're counteracting that with a really high dose of Adderall, which is an upper, and then you've got the downer, the suppressant, the alcohol, and your central nervous system wouldn't know what to do. It's got signals going everywhere. You want to be high, you want to be low. You don't know when you're Katie Joy.
Your on-growth hormone. So they would say, unless your child is put on this medication that's $10,000 a month, your child will never grow. They will be a dwarf. It's a form of dwarfism. So some children that have.
It's not actually. I remember she fought about this recently with someone she said that it's a form of dwarfism, and it's not. It's because dwarfism is a chromosome issue, isn't it? And then this is a growth hormone issue. So, if I just leave it there, I feel like I might have proven my point. But she's just so unaware. But her child, V, was so tiny at one stage. I remember, I feel like they had no idea. All he could do was clap his hands, and he used to clap his hands in front of himself and look at his hands like he couldn't understand, that's him clapping. And Katie used to say it was like he didn't understand the world or something around him. Oh, it was something. It's not like that. It was a bit more, brutal and a bit more. It's like he had no idea what was going on or something like that, because you never taught him. She never sat down and did colors, counting, numbers, nothing. That's counting, isn't it? There's something else. Rhymes. They never played kids' music to help him learn. No, it was always Canis Diaris and shit,
Have PHP actually do not grow even with growth hormone. So they don't know if it works for everyone. Our child, it works for. So some kids, I know a family whose child will never grow. They will be a little person.
Yeah, what was that girl on TLC? And she had her show, and she was so little. And Katie spoke about her as well. And I felt weird because she could never really, well, she could, but just any grown man that goes out with her, because she has, a child's body. I can't remember what. Yeah, Shauna Ray. I think I only watched a few clips or something on YouTube, but yeah, I wonder if Shauna Ray met that really tall girl. There's a few now, so yeah. Look, my brain is tuning out. Maybe we could finish this off tomorrow. I feel like I've also missed a lot of comments, and I did want to include you guys. I didn't want to ignore you, which is where I go. Turn off all my senses, and all I can all that's on is my eyes, taking in all the horror. Once you get past the makeup, it's all fine. This makeup though, this top, I don't like tops that have that little connecty thing there. Do you guys like them? Oh, they shit me, because not everyone, you know, has a décolleté like that. No. Oh, Katie, it's a horror show. Yeah, look, we might come back. Should we let you finish your sentence? Are you mid-sentence or mid-fart? Or mid-burpee? Are you wearing shorts? Or have you got your pajama legs rolled up?
And even smaller than a little person.
Yes. Okay. I might leave it here. I'm just going to have a drink, and then I might do a scroll up and have a look at chat and just see what you guys have been saying. Oh my God, sucking thumb. I used to suck my thumb. I used to suck my thumb, but in the 80s or the 90s, that like sucking thumb nail polish that they used to put on, well, my mum used to try put on me, but it just tasted like banana, but like in a bad way, but I liked it better than the banana in a good way. It's not making sense. This is what happens. Katie does this to my brain. She makes me into a pea brain so that she's a pea and I'm a pea brain. Also, her latest filing, I was having a little giggle. I can't believe how snarky and disrespectful and dumb she is. They're just going to argue over the same thing. She wants to be stalled on this discovery thing so it doesn't progress. Has she ever got to the next stage? She hasn't ever gone this far in the game, you know. She's always out by the jurisdiction, telling everyone that she's won. You settled, but you lost. No one that wins would say they're us. Oh, yeah. Wow, Katie, you stole my voice and my singing. What is circular? I've totally just... I love the one line, and then I'm going to have to scroll up to see what you're talking about, Will. Either the head or the little bridge bit on her top. Oh, well, no, there's another fact. 30% of dwarfism is growth hormone deficiency. But surely it's a different part, because is that because that is... oh, look, I can't even think. My brain... I do this to myself. When we finish this off tomorrow, right? And I will be more... I'm going to put a post-it up. Pay attention to the fucking chat. I know. How hard is it? I missed you guys as well. Like I thought. There goes my momentum. There goes my scheduling. There goes my... You know, why? Why try now? Had a whole week to myself, and then I was like, look, I'll just might as well appeal. Like, if Katie only spent, you know, as much time with V as she did talking about him, writing about him, going through everything, like... And plus, she doesn't really talk about him when he's around. She's always looking over her shoulder, because he now corrects her, because she can't exaggerate now, because my nonverbal, medically fragile child is now growing up, too old for that pram. Like, I think he's so much smarter than them. And that's actually scary as well, that they underestimate how smart he is. I hope that he, you know, on his 18th birthday, the night before, just lock him in the bedroom, V. Lock him in the bedroom. Go have a whole day. Take the BMW. Plus, I also believe that Katie might have fetal alcohol syndrome. Just the way there's a lot, you know, like how she's more prone to addiction, how her physical features, also her anxiety, also her mum drank as well, and then her mum's mum drank. So it might be a female narcissist thing, but you know, I'm not out here with my narcissist labeling gun going, neat, 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 you are, you are, you are. But then again, I'm not a narcissist. I'm an empath. And in a way, sometimes I feel like I should be numb would be fine. But imagine being numb, disconnected from the world, having no connection to anything, anyone. Without that, you wouldn't know if you're hurting people because you don't feel pain. You don't even recognize pain in your son's eyes. Yeah, she is the danger. I love coming in just with the bottom comment in the chat. Benita's like, they will get old one day. What is she talking about? I hope V locks them in the basement with only the Cheetos and the M&Ms. Imagine the stockpile down there. And this is V's stockpile of his food because, you know, we got to use coupons. Imagine Katie couponing. Well, she does have the handbag, that Coach one. Okay, there's too much horror going on here right now. Thanks to everyone that rocked up in chat. It's not like scared him down, still reading. Like, her eyes are unusually far apart. They're actually really close together, but she has a weird shaped head, plus the nose like really throws it off. But don't get lost in that section because there's a crossroad that's highlighted, and that's where you really do come across reality on the forehead. But that's where the situation is happening for her. Oh, by the way, she went back and she didn't go anywhere, but the doctor prescribed stronger antibiotics. Ooh, when you're wrong, you're wrong. But when you're right, you're still wrong because you're Katie. All right, take care, everyone. I know I've let me bring it back to my cookie. I appreciate you tuning in. I'm sorry I want to get more discussion with the chat. I just want to put my post-it up and remind myself I don't need to close my senses off and lock the doors and hide so Katie can't see me. Oh man, but I just can't imagine living with that energy, the energy of her doing what that's doing to me. Nothing is positive ever. I've never heard her talk about her son in a positive light at all without first mentioning his disability. You too, Benita. It was good to see. I feel like I haven't seen Guy's face, but everyone, I'm just running down the line in the chat with my cactus hand and giving you all a high five right now because I don't want to be like Katie and say, I'll see you. No. Because that is freaky. Okay, we'll finish this off tomorrow and then we'll just go from there and figure out the rest of our lives. But yeah, give this video a like, comment below, subscribe. You should. I reckon you should. Come hang out and chat and then add more chat. So then I really have to pay attention to chat, you know? Do you know Katie? Oh, you so know. You know, right?
Like the size of an infant because he can't grow.
Oh, okay. Burpees are a way to go. Thanks, guys. Take care. Enjoy your day. And I'll catch you tomorrow for the ending of this bulldang. What are we doing? We should just watch like the end all the time. And I should just not ever stop and bulldang. But yeah. Mush, mush, mush. See you guys.